不是我的问题，我也听不懂。
Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu, a little bit louder, and if the microphone can be closer, then Yamuna Priya can hear you clearly.
Yes, yes, loudly. Sorry.
Okay. Can you hear now, Yamuna Priya Mataji?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear.
It needs to be a little louder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, loudly. Yeah.
I'll speak slower. That's the first time I met Srila Prabhupada.
就有关我就是我第一次遇到帕帕的这个经历。
Can you give us some details of that meeting?
能否讲述一些这个会面的细节？
对。
I got a direct instruction from Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. I paid my obeisances into the room where he was near the garden. The room was full of GBCs and sanyasis. Better translate that first. You getting the words okay?
No, for some reason the sound is not coming in very good.
Yamuna Priya, can you translate?
I couldn't hear clearly.
Okay.
If he speak loudly, then it's better.
Okay, let me give you the story because it's very funny.
Now we hear.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
good.
Now
Very
it's
good.
better. Yeah.
Okay, this is Prabhupada was in his room right next to the garden where he would take prasadam. And so I went into the room and paid my obeisances, and Tamal Krishna said, "Here's your Bhaktisiddhanta Das."
Stop
and the whole
now.
room started laughing, cracking up.
Okay.
Who was this
Now
guy
she
with
can
this name,
translate.
this big name?
OK 呢，就是当时呢，帕帕的他呢就在那个花园，那个附近，他在荣耀那个菩萨的。当时呢，就是Tamale Krishna 也在那里，然后呢，他就进到帕帕的房间，向帕帕的顶拜。然后呢，Tamale Krishna 和 Swami 就介绍他说，向帕帕的介绍他说，这是 Bhaktisiddhanta Das。
So the whole room started laughing. Who is this guy, this crazy fellow with this big name? And Prabhupada, I looked over at Prabhupada. I was on the floor with my head on the floor, paying obeisances. I looked over at Prabhupada and his big smile with all his teeth showing. He lit up the whole room. It was really, really funny. Prabhupada has such a big smile. Very effulgent. I could see his light around his head, clear.
然后呢，他就当时看到帕帕的那个头上呢，有着非常明显的一种光芒，然后呢，帕帕的就微笑着，就是笑容特别的开心，然后呢，他能够很明显的就是看到帕帕的这种那个光灿，然后当时在场的每个人呢，他们都笑了起来。
So Tamal Krishna Maharaj introduced me that I was one of the Fate members making diorama. They made the change in body display. And Prabhupada immediately said, Mayapur, dioramas go to Mayapur. Okay.
那个时候呢，就是那个时候呢，就 Tamale Krishna 和 Swami 就向帕帕的介绍他，然后呢。帕帕的呢就给了他一个训示，让他去马雅普去做一些服务。
So I was thinking I'll go immediately, but I just got to Vrindavan. We just arrived in Vrindavan, and I wanted to see Vrindavan a little bit. And Prabhupada heard that from my thought and says, "Okay, you stay here, and you do it here. You work here." So I got both Mayapur and Vrindavan benediction from Prabhupada.
那个时候呢，就帕巴的当时给他的那个具体的服务呢，就是让他设计就是那个 samadhi 的那个庙宇，然后呢，当时帕巴的就先让他说是去马普，因为当时呢他是刚到稳达稳，他就给帕巴的讲了这种情况。那么帕巴的就说呢，那好吧，就是你既然已经来到稳达稳了，那么你可以在稳达稳待一段时间，那么你同时可以就是设计稳达稳和马普的两个地方的这个什么庙，所以他就由此得到了这两个祝福。
So then
I
you
went outside and there was a skinny sannyasi, very skinny sannyasi. He was asking me, why don't you go to Mayapur? Well, Prabhupada told me to stay in Vrindavan now. It was Jayapataka Maharaj. So it took me 41 years to serve Radhasham before I was able to make the trip to Mayapur. I've been here a couple years now. Okay. Next question.
Next question. She has to translate.
所以呢，后来呢，就是当时在场的呢，也有一位非常严谨的一位 sannyasi，然后就跟他说，其实呢，你为什么不去玛雅普，就是不去玛雅普呢？因为现在玛雅普就是加帕达克斯瓦米在那边，然后呢，他已经服务了就是很多年了，然后呢，在那边的话也会得到很好的这种照顾，所以后来呢，他就决定就说他说好吧。
So, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu, from the very beginning, you received
Go ahead.
You received an instruction from Srila Prabhupada for your service. Did you ever change your service over those years?
就 Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu，自从你第一次从帕巴那得到这样的训示去做这个服务的之后呢，这么多年以来，你有没有改变过你的服务呢？
Well, over the years, I've been working on the samadhis, helping Srila Maharaj. So we got the whole thing going with the Mayapur and Vrindavan samadhis. I've been working on that since the beginning, and now working on TOVP here in Mayapur for the last few years. I got 45 years together as a devotee, 41, 42 years in Mayapur or in Vrindavan as a Pujari to Radhasham Sundari. And because of them, I stay here, stay attached and secure my service line with the OVP now.
就是呢，这么多年以来呢，我就是协助有一位Swami，然后呢，我呢就是在前面的42年左右的时候呢，就是我大部分时间其实都是在建设玛雅普这边的 Samadhi，大概有41、42年吧，左右。然后呢，我总共就是服务稳达问玛雅普的这个 Samadhi 大概是45年的一个时间，然后呢之后呢，我就开始参与 TOVP 的一个建筑一个设计，然后呢，对，一直到现在。
Well, if I was to go to Vrindavan today, what would I see that you have done for Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi in Vrindavan?
就是如果现在去拜访稳达问的话，那么我在稳达问可以看到你所为帕巴德设计的这些萨玛地的庙宇都是有哪些呢？
I'm often asked how come I could spend 41 years in Vrindavan as a Pujari doing the same thing every day. And the answer is the mercy is every single minute, not just every day, but every minute, every second, there's a mercy that comes across. And so because of that mercy, 41 years went by in a flash. And any Pujari will tell you the same thing. When it was time for me to make a move, I had to go because my apartment was running out. I had to make a change and make a trip to Mayapur. So I was reluctant to go Radhashama Sundar was even more reluctant to let me go. Then I got an answer from down the
She
altar.
has to translate.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Okay, go ahead.
So yes, you said you spent 41 years in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pujari to Radhashama Sundar.
Radhasham Prabhu, the Pujari, yeah.
Yeah, Radhashama Sundar, Prince of the Vrindavan.
Babu,
Yes,
can you
41
can you
years in Vrindavan as the Pujari of Radha Shyam Sundar.
OK，
要
就是呢，他so you have been the Pujari in Vrindavan.
Yes, for 41 years. Pujari of Sri Radha Shyam Sundar.
他在文达文是Radha Shyamashun 的这个村庄的这个 Pujari 是41年的时间。Okay, so after what happened?
Then I had to leave Vrindavan after 41 years to come to Mayapur because of different problems. And so Radhashama Sundar was very reluctant to let me go. And then I got an answer down the line from Lord Chaitanya saying, we'll take care of it, don't worry. So I got transferred from Radhashama Sundar to Lord Chaitanya. Now I'm here by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada for the last few years working on the TOVP.
Wonderful. Yamuna, you could hear?
Yes. 就是说我当时呢，就是在就是前面的部分说的，刚才就是我听的有一点那个失误，就是说他是在稳达文待了有大概41年的时间，是作为稳达文的这个庙 Radha Shyamashundar 的这个 Pujari。后来呢，就是他呢就得到了就是主菜的念玛哈帕布的这个特殊的仁慈，然后呢，就是他被邀请去马阿普，然后呢去参与马阿普这边的一些项目，主要是这个 TOVP 的一个建设。
It's like going from one dham to another dham, not out of dham.
Dham to dham. Listen, by the way, I got a lot of visuals that are appropriate. If you can focus on some of the videos, the visuals of Prabhupada and Samadhi, Vrindavan, bronzes. I don't know if you have that on your palette. You can show some of that artwork.
I have got few pictures which Vishidika Prabhu gave me. I would like to show them. Jamuna Priya, you can translate.
OK， 就是说，我呢，其实在稳达文的时候呢，我觉得每分每秒基本上都在想得到这种仁慈。后来呢，所以他想着离开稳达文，好像就是离开了这个圣地一样。但是呢，其实并没有。后来他到了那个马阿普嘛。然后呢，目前呢，就是有关他建造的这个稳达文以及马阿普的这些萨玛地庙宇呢，有一些视频。一会儿呢，会给大家来展示一下。
I will show a couple of them, which I have.
OK， 我会向大家展示一些这些萨玛地庙宇的图片或者视频。
I can comment on the pictures if they come up all right. This is the title of one of the books I just did. We have it in Russian also. But it's a panel I did in the Samadhi of Vrindavan of Srila Prabhupada walking, bringing the whole spiritual world to this planet.
就是这个名称为查亚的这个。
where is this? Can you see?
Yes, we
Yes.
can see. We can
Yes, we
see.
can see. 他说这个插图呢是他当时设计的，就是说帕帕的他呢就是走路的这个样子。当时呢
I would
The
just
most
like
photographed panel in Vrindavan.
Okay.
I would just
还是
like
可以
go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know why the voice sometimes is quite
You can
poor.
translate, Yamuna, please.
The voice is broken. Sometimes the connection is very poor.
Can you hear my voice?
这个是因为那共享屏幕的。
Any more pictures? Oh, it's coming Chinese now.
中国封建者的名字。
I would just like to comment on that sculpture. This is a picture of a sculpture which is on the wall at Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi in Vrindavan. And we can see all the detail of this beautiful sculpture which is on the wall.
所以呢，就是刚才展示的这张图片呢，是稳达问的帕帕的萨玛蒂那个墙上的一张图画。我们就是如果详细的去看这张画的话呢，上面其实有的很多的细节可以来展示发生的一些故事。
When you look at the sculpture, you can see that this is not just a dead piece of art. You can see all of the detail lovingly sculpted in presenting Srila Prabhupada's beautiful form and the faces of all the wonderful devotees.
所以呢，如果我们其实这是一个经典的它的一个那个封面如果我们就是仔细的，就是能够近距离的细节观看那些细节的话呢，我们发现其实它并不是一张简单的一张插图而已，而是就是一位奉献者他呢对于圣文帕帕的这种强烈的奉爱之心，他呢雕刻成的就是不光是帕帕的这个美丽的这个形象，而且呢是有很多奉献的这种美丽的面庞都在上面。
Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu, you have been a devotee for so many years, and you were so steady for 41 years doing the same service for Srila Prabhupada and for Radhashama Sundar. Can you tell us what motivated you? What keeps you going like this?
他说帕布呢，你在 Krishna 知觉中非常的坚定，已经就是在稳达温呢服务我们的 Radha Shama Sundar 神像已经有41年左右的时间。那么你能不能跟我们分享一下，到底是什么强烈的一种动机，让你可以一直在坚持着这样的服务？
My first day on the altar was the reason I got to stay so long, because all of a sudden I felt that I was going to be burned alive by the fact I almost touched Radharani's seat by mistake. And so the fire was going on behind me. I thought it was me burning up. I was going to be burned alive. And I started chanting the Maha Mantra to protect myself. And I thought, I'm protecting myself from Krishna with the Maha Mantra. Now I'm really in trouble. So the fire was right behind me. It was a curtain caught on the heater. It was burning. I put the fire out and I looked back and Radha Shama Sundar had a little smile on her face. And the deities are very much alive. There's no question about it. they're present at all times.
就当时呢，就在
You
我
got that?
就是站在神坛的第一天，我做服务的时候呢，就是当时就是由于我的一些错误，然后呢，就是那个神坛上的那些火，然后呢，它就是被点燃了，然后呢，就是差一点就是会烧到那个帘幕。后来呢，我就念了一些曼陀罗，然后呢就保护了我。我当时呢就是看到就是 Radha Shama Sundar 他脸上的这个流露出来的甜美的这个微笑，我就理解我也同时触碰了这个 Radha Rani 的这个莲花主，然后呢我就能够切身的感受的这个神像，其实他们真的就是活生生的，而不只是站在那儿而已。
So there was a real fire behind you? The curtain was on fire?
Yeah, it was a real fire. It was burning up. The curtain was burning up. But I thought it was me because I had this intense look coming at me from Krishna. I thought because I made a mistake, I would be burned alive. Because of that incident, I've never been able to walk away from the deities. They captured me solid, hooked.
他说那个帘子就是那个木帘真的是着火了吗？就是帕布说是的，当时就已经起火了。他当时觉得好像他身上在着火一样。所以呢他后来就是因为念了一些曼陀罗，然后呢得到了保护。
This is
You gotta be very careful on the altar. Because when you're on the altar, Krishna's looking at you. When you're outside looking in, you're looking in. But when you're on the altar, Krishna's looking at you directly, and it's not the same. It's pretty intense on the altar. You got to believe it.
他说就是当我们在神坛上的时候呢，真的需要非常的小心谨慎。因为我们在神坛下面的时候呢，其实我们是往神坛里面看的。但是呢，当我们在神坛上的时候呢，那么是奎师那直接看着我们的，所以我们一切都要非常谨慎谨慎小心。
so when you're all on the altar, you're not a guest. When in the temple room, we are a guest. On the altar is different. Is that what you're saying?
That's very different when you're on the altar.
你的意思是不是就是意味
The
着
ladies,
我们在那个庙宇里就是不是神坛上的时候呢，我们是作为客人来访的。那么我们在神坛上服务的时候呢，那是另外一个概念，就完全不同的体验，对不对？
Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu, did Srila Prabhupada see any of your artwork?
there's no chance. I was going to be carving marble deities because I told Prabhupada I could carve marble. And I was about to do that, and I had bad marble and bad chisels, and it all broke up. So then Prabhupada was losing his vision. He had sunglasses on, so I never showed I could. But because of that, now I do nothing but Srila Prabhupada murtis, and did hundreds of murtis of Prabhupada. The bronzes and the are testimony to Prabhupada's greatness. In fact, everything I've done since I've been a devotee is glorify Prabhupada. Got that?
Yes.
Some part of what you said, because a little broken.
Yes, the sound was a little broken. We're having major sound problems today. Can you repeat a little bit?
Okay. Should I repeat it?
Yes.
Well, I didn't get a chance to show any artwork to Prabhupada, except the change of body display and the dioramas that we made in favor for Prabhupada. He said that we made, and so that's all for sure. I made a change in body 3 times. One time was a model that Prabhupada was looking at, and Bhargava asked, "Why didn't you put this in your room?" He says, "My room." He didn't have to know he wasn't his body, so that's kind of a joke. Prabhupada thought I got to sum up the philosophy in 2 words: my room. Like that.
Srila
just
，My
Prabhupada.
room. He had no rooms in anywhere in the world.
I see. Did you get that, Yamuna Priya?
I get the first
So the
part,
change in
but yeah. Let me translate what I heard. So 他说就是他没有机会去向帕帕的展示他的这些作品，然后呢，后来就是他有机会呢，就是去雕刻帕帕的这个 multi， 大概有上百个，然后呢，有时候呢，他也会在那个大理石上进行雕刻。
So now you are in Mayapur. What are you working on specifically now?
就现在你在马普，现在你在马普，那么你具体是做怎样的服务呢？
Since I relocated to Mayapur, I've been working on the TOVP. And at one point, it was just myself and Bhavananda and Ambarish making all the drawings. They were giving me direction of what they wanted, and it was a little bit vague at that early moment. So at one point, we had all the drawings done for the inside and the outside of the temple. And since then, it's been going through changes, and it gets better as it goes along. I'm really impressed by the whole operation that's going on. It's now locked down, so nothing's happening. But when it opens up again, it'll be glorious. CLVP is the biggest thing that's going to happen on the planet. Is that registering okay?
OK， 就是后来呢，当他就是回到马雅普的时候呢，那时候就是阿玛瑞西帕布还有另外一个就是那个 TOVP 的负责人，然后呢，他们就是邀请他来一起参与这个 TOVP 的这个建筑，当时呢，他们说不管是庙里面的这个设计，还是庙这个外观的这些设计，都需要就是你的这个参与。所以呢，后来他就加入了这个服务，然后呢，一直到现在，因为目前呢是处在这个封锁期间，所以呢很多的这个服务都目前的话做不了，但是呢，就是 TOVP，它作为一个非常这个巨大的一个工程，它将会成为这个星球上最令人瞩目的一个建筑。
So,
Okay. So
Bhakti
now I'm working on some books.
A book?
I've done some books. I'm writing different books now and coming up with different ideas to serve Prabhupada in printed matter.
他呢现在就是在酝酿一本书，就是有关圣文帕巴德的方面的书籍。
Are you going to be doing sculptures for TOVP?
你将会就是说为 TOVP 建筑进行一些雕刻吗？
Well, TOVP is shut down solid now for months, and then we're waiting to see it ever opens again. But I'm kind of helping from a background now. I don't do any more direct diorama work.
I see.
So it's drawing the concepts now.
就 TOVP 呢，就是由于目前的这个封锁期间呢，有些的服务，有些的一些工程，可能目前的话呢，就暂时就是缓了下来。 需要等到它重新就是开放的时候呢，才能够继续。然后目前在这个阶段呢，我们就在重新进行其他的一些规划。
Got any more visuals?
Pardon? Well, there's something has happened.
Is that the only visual you got?
There's something really happening today. There's Dalmukunda is no longer connected, and he has all the visuals. I'm not able to present the visuals, so I'm at a loss. We were going to spend quite a bit of time showing some of your artwork, and we're not able to. Can you
就是呢，因
translate?
为 yes，
Go ahead
本
and
来
translate, Jamunapriya.
OK， 就是达雅姆昆纳帕布呢，目前他好像是不在线吧。然后呢，所以有关巴格迪西丹达帕布他所就是做的一些雕刻的那些庙宇的视频呢，我们目前就是暂时播放不了。本来我们计划要就是播放一些给大家看呢。
So before we go to questions, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu, you have been steady for so many years in your service, and so many devotees actually have a lot of difficulty being steady in their service. Can you give a few words of advice on how we can be steady in our service?
You mean study in the service?
Steady. That means that we keep doing our service no matter what. How can we?
OK, yeah.
Yes.
就是 Bhakti 西德纳帕布呢，就是多年以来一直在他的服务当中非常的稳定。就是呢，能不能分享一下你这种稳定服务的这个秘诀是什么？你的一些建议对于我们来说，你能给到我们什么样的建议？
Well, let me tell you the story. When I was in the 4th grade, I was 8 years old, and a nun told me, Alfred, you got a God-given talent, use it in his service. I thought, wow, that's pretty far out. So it guided me right through my whole life up to the present moment. So I'm working in that direction to serve God, serve Krishna, and serve Prabhupada, and life will be complete. Ask Radhacharan, my old buddy. He's there in China someplace.
Oh, yeah. Prabhu, can you repeat the first sentence? I heard the last part of what you said.
Yeah, well, it started when I was 8 years old in the 4th grade. The teacher took my drawings and put the drawings on the wall and told me, Alfred, my name was Alfred, you have a God-given talent, use it in God's service. And that was like a profound statement that carried through my whole life. Everybody else didn't know what they wanted in life. I had a firm conviction of what I had to do in this life.
就是在他上小学的时候，大概是5岁的时候呢，当时呢他就是画了一幅画，他的老师呢就特别的在班上表扬了他，并且鼓励他说呢，就当时他的这个名字就叫着他的那个名字说，然后呢你有这个神父的这种天赋，就是画画的这种天赋，那么呢你应该充分的用它去做更多的这个事情。那么就从那开始呢，他就内心当中燃烧着这么一种强烈的想要去绘画的这么一种燃烧的这种渴望。所以呢就这份渴望呢就一直激励了他在多年以来就是从事这些相关的一些服务。
So actually you received your first instruction from Srila Prabhupada when you were very young. When you met Srila Prabhupada, you had the opportunity to fulfill that instruction. Is it not?
Yeah.
Please translate.
You're right. I mean, it was a blessing.
他说就是当你年 当你年轻的时候呢，你有机会就是得到了帕巴的这个训示，就是后来当你见到帕巴的时候呢，你就有了这样的力量，可以去遵守帕巴的训示。
So when a devotee meets the spiritual master, it is not by accident. It is directly Krishna intervening in that life.
所以呢，当一位奉献者他遇到灵性导师的时候呢，这可不是一个偶然发生的事情，他呢就是 Krishna 亲自进入到了干预了这位奉献者的生活。
Yamuna Priya, are there any questions? I don't know if I can read the questions. I'm not Dao Mukunda. I don't have the facility.
Okay, let me check. I also didn't see any question. Lila Kishore Mataji, 你能发言吗？
怎么了？我可以说话。
就是现在目前为止有没有什么问题？
我刚在群里发了一个问题，就是因为帕布说，就是他当时就是火都烧到了帘子嘛，然后他就念了一些 mantra， 这些 mantra 是我就是因为我们肯定生活中也会遇到一些，有时候会遇到这样的，这个 mantra 是我们也可以用的吗
Okay. So Prabhu, as you mentioned the first day you are on an altar, you said that the curtain is burnt, but you chant some mantra, so it protect you. Sometimes in our everyday life, there are also crises, so it can also protect us if we use the same mantra.
Well, let me tell you a story. I didn't think you got it right. I was on that altar and the fire was going on behind me, so I thought I was on fire, but it was a curtain that was burning, and it was like it never happened before or since. And so when I turned around to look at to put the fire out, I looked back and I understood that now I got a definite attack because I was chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, to protect myself from Krishna. That I am in big trouble. Chant the Maha Mantra to protect myself from the Supreme Lord. What could I do wrong? More. You got that? You can't chant the Maha Mantra to protect yourself from Krishna. It doesn't work.
就是呢，就是当时呢，就是他那个帘子就是着火了，当时呢就那个火呢就是盖过他那个头了，当时呢他就一下子比较惊慌，然后呢在那种情况之下呢，他是念的是 Hare Krishna Maha Mantra， 然后呢就是这保护了他。然后他说，就是如果是Krishna 去保护我们的话呢，那么就是我们就是安然无恙的。
So
I think that's very clear.
So you only chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, yeah?
Yeah. But I was chanting to protect myself from Krishna because I thought he was going to burn me alive. Because I had the smoke and fire was going on behind me. I thought I was burning because I had a mistake. I was almost touching Radharani's seat next to the table. So when I got up to look at Krishna again, then I understood that it was something wrong, really serious. And a fire broke out, and I started chanting the mantra automatically. And then I thought, my God, what am I doing? Why am I chanting this mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, to protect myself? When Krishna's the one that's doing this. So it was kind of a funny situation, but because of that, I attached like anything to the definite service of protecting myself from further harm and dedicated the rest of my life to Radhasham, which I did for 41 years. And it just flew by, 41 years like it was nothing. Every day going by quick.
就是当时呢，就是因为他是犯了一个错误，他当时可能就是因为不知道嘛，他就直接就是在神坛上，然后呢就是可能有一些冒犯吧，然后呢他是直接去触碰 Radharani 的那个莲花柱，然后反正就是做了一些冒犯吧，所以后来他就发现好像就那个帘子给那起火了，然后呢后来他就是看着 Krishna， 然后呢他在想该怎么办呀，然后后来他就念诵这个曼陀罗，希望能够得到Krishna 的保护，其实也是蛮有意思的，然后蛮好玩儿，蛮可笑的一个经历，因为他当时是看着 Krishna， 想要 Krishna 就是保护他，但是呢，就是当他去开始念诵这个曼陀罗的时候，他才意识到，其实就是通过这个曼陀罗 Krishna 是真正的保护了他，所以呢，就是从那之后呢，他后面的就是41年的生涯都奉献给了Radha Shama Sundar 神像，就是一直在那服务他们。
Then when I had to leave the service of Radhesham, then they were reluctant to let me go because I was there 41 years. Then down the altar, there's 3 altars in that temple in Vrindavan. And then I heard his little voice hit my head by coming from Lord Chaitanya's altar. Don't worry, we'll take care of him. Radhesham, we're taking responsibilities for your devotee now. And so ever since then, I've been in Mayapur now for a few years, and it's really blissful. It's a peaceful place, and the mercy is just as strong here as it is in Vrindavan with Radha Madhava. Oh, any Pujari will tell you that if they're doing service for the Radha Sham or any Krishna deities in Radharani, they're real. They're on the spot right there every minute. And so generally any Pujari will tell you that, and he knows how to deal with it because ultimately you can't make any offenses. You have to be very careful every day. So that's the story about being on the altar for 41 years.
So you heard the direct sound from Lord Chaitanya and told you that you should go to Mayapur?
No word spoken, but it comes into your head very clear. The words don't have to be spoken out loud. The same thing with Prabhupada. I asked Prabhupada once why there's so much trouble going on in our movement, backbiting, corruption, graft, and this and that. And Prabhupada looked at me and smiled and shook his head. He heard it in my head because he knew ESP. He could hear your thoughts and understood exactly what you're thinking. And so he said, just wait and see. And a couple of months later, I understood that nobody was chanting around. All our leaders were not chanting the Maha Mantra properly at all. That's the problem. If you're not chanting, then you're basically still in the animal position.
他呢就是当时呢就是在稳达问呢就是就是后来呢他就在稳达问服务 Radha Shama Sundar 大概41年之后呢，就是有一次他就就是听到了有一个声音给他说，就是让他去马普那边呢去服务，因为马普那声音说就是马普是一个更平静的，然后呢充满着仁慈的一个地方，这也是跟刚开始的时候，就是帕巴德，就他最初遇见帕巴德的时候，帕巴德给他的那个训示，就是非常的吻合，就是帕巴德当初就是训示他去马雅普，去进行做那个雕刻的。
One more story. I'm thinking about it. It's called the introductory offer. The introductory offer. That's a system that Prabhupada used to give you a clear idea what status he was. He was coming from the spiritual world. And the way something like this, he came to our studio in Fate in LA, and there was a Gurpooj for Prabhupada. And I started to get up on a chair to see over the heads of everybody. And suddenly Prabhupada opened up the whole room and walked right up to me and glanced at me. And every time he looked, he looked deep into my eyes and my head, and it just completely turned me around, and I got complete cleansed, scourged in a minute. All the nartas were passing through my brain, gone. And so that was the introductory offering, different to what he's got it. Prabhupada would look into your eyes and cleanse everything that goes on inside that little head of ours. And so that's the introductory offering. Many got it when he was able to see Prabhupada clearly, and his power was so strong. He had a halo around his head.
Let her translate.
我再给你们
Okay,
大
go
家
ahead,
分享一
Prabhupada.
个小小时光我再补充一下，刚才他提到的就是有关服务那个 Radha Shyamasundara 的那一个细节，就是说就是因为 Radha 服务 Radha Shyamasundara 的时候需要非常的小心，因为否则的话就很容易就会冒犯，尤其在神坛上面。OK， 那现在他讲的就是他又想到了一个小小时光，就是呢有一次在帕帕的那个房间里面呢，帕帕的就是在给他们进行交谈，当时呢就是他都感受到帕帕的这种目光，就是直穿他的这个内心深处，当时帕帕的就看着他的眼睛，他就觉得就通过帕帕的这种瞥视，他心中脑中的这种Anatta 就消失了很多，然后呢，他就感受到的这种前所未有的这种灵性的这种力量，所以呢，他说这就是一位纯粹奉献者，这就是帕帕德的他的这种力量所在。
You got that story about the introductory offer?
Are there any more questions, Jamuna Priya?
Yeah, I'll ask Lila Kishore. Lila Kishore 马太姐，还有其他的问题吗？
我还想问一个问题哈，是这样的，就是我特别想知道，因为帕布在稳达稳就是服务了神像那么多年，他肯定，对这个稳达稳的神像是非常的有情感的哈。那么他来到玛雅普，他在看到玛雅普的神像，他会有什么感受？尤其是Radha Madhava 和 Radha Shyamasundara 之间，他会有什么
不同是吧？
因为我曾经有一次在看Radha Madhava 的时候，我突然就有一种恍惚，就是我就觉得这个 Radha 怎么就跟那个稳达文的是一模一样的，然后其实他们不是很像，但是就是我就一下子就觉得那就是稳达文的那个 Radha Rani， 就是偶尔一次会有这样的体验，我想知道他不会有什么样的感觉。
Okay, yeah.
They're non-different.
So you can understand the Chinese.
I know,
You can understand
from Chinese.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, 他说他们完全一样的，没有任何区别。太厉害了。
Yes, 他已经明白
Yeah,
我的
they're
意思。
non-different.
对，因为你提
They're
到
the same
对，
everywhere.
你提到他们名字的时候，他就知道你问的什么问题了。
Yes,
因为他们是
because
一样的，对，没有任何区别。
Radha Madhava are bigger, that's all.
Radha Madhava 就个头大一些。
Yes, because
It was
once
nice.
when I saw Radha
Shyamasundara are small, and so you get an idea how strong it is when you look at their faces. Because sometimes they're very stoic and they don't change, but sometimes they change like a kaleidoscope. Radharani especially is so different days. They're powerful deities. So is Radha Madhava also.
就 Radha Shyamasundara 呢，他们是非常有力量的，这尊神像，包括 Radha Madhava 也是，就在稳达问的这个 Radha 呢，他就是经常的几乎是每天都会穿不同的这些衣服，然后呢，他们穿戴呀，各个方面都会被装饰的非常的精致。
Dr. Siddhanta Prabhu, I find it very interesting that when we ask you about doing a service for 41 years, immediately you talk about your service to Radhashama Sundar instead of your artwork. Can you comment on that?
Oh,
他
yeah,
说
let me comment.
Let her
Okay.
translate.
Translate that.
我现在发现一个有意思的现象，就是当我们就是让你讲述就是你的这些经历的时候呢，你给我们更多的讲的是有关你在Vrindavan 就是服务 Radha Shyama Sundar 41年的这么一个一些经历，而不是谈论你的这些艺术的雕刻工作。那么你能不能做一些评述？
Well, Ramdas, Navi Ramdas, he just passed away, and he told it in this video about they were painting in Vrindavan, that when you're focused on a painting, nothing goes through your head except what you're working on. You're completely focused on what you're doing. And so if you're painting Krishna and Radharani, ultimately you're in the spiritual world. So it happens exactly like that. And there was a friend of mine, S.M. Pandit in Bombay, who was a top painter in India. He saw when he was about to die, he saw all the pictures he painted of Krishna and Radharani flash through his head at the time of death. So you got that opportunity once you're about to approach the Supreme Lord. You got the run of everything you did in glorification of the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sorry.
What's the name? What's the name of this?
Ramdas Avi Ramdas. He just passed away. He's an artist.
Ramdas.
Yeah, Ramdas Avi Ramdas.
Abhirama Das 就是这位帕布呢，他呢就是最近已经隐迹了，他就曾经说过，就是当你去为神像就是雕刻去画画的时候呢，你需要非常的专注，就是你当时完全专注于去画 Radha Krishna，就是已经在这个灵性世界了。So, Babu, what's the last part after you said if you focus the very attentively to paint Radha Krishna, you are already in a spiritual world. So, what's after that?
At the end, when you're doing a painting or a sculpture, ultimately you're focused on the Supreme Lord if you're working representing them or the spiritual master. So your focus is you're placed in the spiritual world automatically because you're working on spiritual forms, and they're not different than when they're in a painting or in a sculpture. They're still the Supreme Lord directly. And so that because of that, you stay fixed in your spiritual life, and ultimately you paint your way or sculpt your way back home, back to Godhead. And I think Ramdas devotee just did that. So that's the focus, and that's the way to excel in your artwork, to keep thinking to make it better, perfect your service and whatever you're doing. Just make it better.
所以呢，就是那位已经隐迹的帕布呢，然后他就说如果你就是非常专注的、认真的去就是为你的灵性导师或者是为至尊主雕刻的话呢，其实你自动的就已经处在这个灵性世界了，因为你所雕刻的都是灵性的这些形象，所以呢，他们就是跟他们本人是没有区别的。然后呢，你就是直接在服务着这个至尊主。那么呢，就是因为你的这种服务呢，这种专注呢，你就能够就是坚定在你的这个服务当中，你不会说去这个心意的很摇摆等等。所以呢，就是你借着你的这个服务，你最终是可以回归家园的。那么他还说，就是说，无论我们做任何的服务，我们都需要把它做得更好，就是更完美。
Thank you. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu, are there any more questions?
Lila Kishore，现在还有其他的问题吗？
How many
我
devotees
这
are
儿
watching this?
今天有
14 to 15, it's been.
Wow, it's very nice.
45位奉献的，
就是他们要是有什么问题，但是他们打不开静音，他们没法说，好像是，因为
能发文字吗？
我其实是可以发，但是他们没有人发，我看不到。大家如果有问题的话，可以从下面那个问答框里面发文字，发完文字以后可以看到的。
Because they couldn't speak, they can only write.
I
So,
see.
yeah, that's a problem.
Okay. So we have no more questions now.
目前为止
特别
呢，
I got another story.
还有一个故事。
太好了。
I guess
And I
not.
tell one more story.
Yes, please.
Sure. Yeah.
I was working in Fate for 2 years, and I was working in a tool room, and I understood that whatever you do with your hands, got to be done consciously before you can do any kind of Krishna consciousness. And so Prabhupada came through the tool room, and he looked at all the tools. He spent all his time looking at the tools, not at what work we had done, but the tools were more important than what we did. So he looked at it and wondered. I had drawing around each tool, like the hammer had a line around it. So somebody took it. I know who had it. So we were losing tools without the proper organization. So then I understood Prabhupada 2 weeks later, still talking about the tool rooms and the tools. So, and he wanted to know what they were all for and what was explained to him. But I understood that, like I thought, that you got to be very conscious of what you do with your hands before you can do something with your head. So Krishna consciousness begins with being conscious of what you do with your hands. So whatever you do, whatever service you're locked into, do it with the best ability you can do and make it perfect. And that's the closest thing you come to pure devotional service. And that's the answer to all the questions that come up in the way of problems in our society. If you're really careful about what you do it the best of your ability, you come out on top, make it home back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada guarantees it. He told us that in a class in LA. I guarantee all of you are going back home back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Please translate, Yamuna Priya.
Prabhu, I think maybe you can speak slowly. I heard the last part of, but I couldn't understand exactly the first part, what you said.
Okay, in the beginning,
in the
the
beginning.
tool room was the tool room. Veda means making dioramas, working with your hands, making carpentry and clay work and different stuff to make sculpture. Dioramas is something that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta he wanted. The Prabhupada wanted it equally stronger. So I was in charge of the tool room and all the tools, and so I made sure it was spotless. I spent months working on that tool room and getting so it was perfect condition, with lines around the tools so they know exactly where a hammer is and where a screwdriver is located. And so Prabhupada saw that and really appreciated the fact that we were conscious of our tools, how to best use the tools in Christian service. So because of that, I understood that what I was thinking was right on the spot, that you got to be conscious of what you do with your hands, what tools you use to do your service, whatever service you do. If it's done with full attention and Krishna consciousness is right up top of the line. So in other words, the purity that you can get in being a Krishna conscious devotee is what starts first off with what you do with your hands, then your head, then your actions are known to please the Supreme Lord. So I think that's the same story, only a little bit more developed.
Okay.
就是说呢，他呢，就是刚提 到那个帕布呢，他后来就是在他之后呢，他就这个帕布呢，他也是就是得到了就是有2个房间，可以呢在这2个房间里面呢去做一些雕刻。然后呢，这个时候呢，当时呢他们就在房间里面做着不同的这些神像的一些雕刻的服务。然后呢，当时呢他们就有雕刻的有2个用具，2个工具。他们做的非常的完美，就非常的精致。后来帕帕的过来看了之后呢，帕帕的就非常的满意。那么呢，帕帕的就呢就给他们说手，然后呢雕刻了这么精美的这个2个工具。这说明其实你们不光是用你们的手在做这样的服务，你们同时就是用你们的这个大脑，就是你们非常专注的在做的这个服务。那么就是他有帕帕的这句话呢，他就理解到其实无论我们在做任何服务的时候呢，我们也想做的非
Thank you
常
very
的就是说完美。需要用我们的双手，我们呢更需要就是动用我们的这个大脑，我们需要我们的这个全部的专注，我们需要就是非常就是那种很强烈的这种专注细心。只有这样的话呢，我们最终才能够就是取悦于我们的圣帕帕的最终回归家园。对，就是大致的
One
这
last thought. Be
Yeah.
connected with Srila Prabhupada in any way, shape, or form. Be with his personal association or by his books and reading his and hearing him on tape. It's a rare opportunity that we get in this human life form to be associated with a pure devotee. And so please take advantage of that. Read his books. You got probably all the books in Chinese now. And take advantage of Prabhupada's mercy and make it back home, back to God in this lifetime. Don't waste time in this lifetime. Think you do it in another life. Do it now. Prabhupada gave that direction. Clean up your life. Do it in the best way you possibly can and make it back home, back to God. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Jamuna Priya? Jamuna Priya, can you hear? Have we lost you? Nita Kishori, can you hear to translate?
I can hear, but I cannot understand properly.
Jamuna Priya, are you back?
Hare Krishna.
Are you back, Jamuna Priya?
Yes, I'm back. A little broken. Babu, can you repeat? I didn't. Yeah, because some noise and the sound is broken. So.
I'll repeat the story.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just saying that the opportunity to serve a pure devotee is so rare that if you get a chance to be in his association, in the presence of his personal association, or by his books, by his videos, in any shape or form, anything related to Prabhupada, his pure devotional service is guaranteed to take us back home, back to Godhead. I've dedicated my life to serving Srila Prabhupada to this point, doing murtis and paintings and books on Prabhupada, glorifying him in every way I know how to do. So it takes us back home, back to God in this lifetime, even while we're still in these bodies, and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. So whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability. Take advantage of the mercy Prabhupada has given us all. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
OK，就说我们呢，对于每个人来说，我们服务纯粹奉献者的机会都是特别罕有的，所以呢，一旦我们拥有这样的机会的话呢，我们就要充分的利用上。不管是我们与纯粹奉献者的这样的亲身的联谊，还是通过阅读他的书籍、聆听他的这个就是音频、视频，就是我们以 这些不同的方式想方设法的去得到它的联谊啊，这样的话呢，我们这个纯粹的奉爱服务的道路才可以就是得到保证。这样的话呢，也可以让我们能够回归守神。那么也正是因为这一点呢，一直就是激励着我，让我可以就是奉献我的一生去服务帕帕德，然后呢去做有关的这个绘画、雕刻，绘画一些 multi 就是包括为帕帕的一些书籍啊做一些插图等等，就以不同的形式去荣耀帕帕德。那么我的领悟呢，就是不管我们做任何的服务，我们都要尽我们的最大的努力去做的最好。这样的话呢，我们才可以完全得到帕帕的这种全部的仁慈，我们可以最终回归家园。帕帕的 keys。
So I just want to. Our time is up. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank all the devotees who have participated today, in spite of the difficulties with sound and technical problems. Please translate.
我呢特别想利用这个机会，感谢所有参加我们这个课程的奉献者们。就是尽管我们面临着有关这个技术声音方面的问题，但是大家还是这么热情的在聆听，所以真的是特别的感谢你们。
And I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank from our hearts all the devotees who participated in the worship of the greatest Vaishnava, Lord Shiva, and his dear Nandi at the beginning of the week.
我呢也想利用这个呢特别的感恩那些所有参与就是我们在这个周一的时候举办的Siva Puja 以及他的亲爱的这个 Nandi 这个公牛的这么一个Puja 的服务。感谢大家所做的这个捐赠。
Your donations did not just make the puja possible, but it is making possible the care of all of the bulls and cows at Nandi Sanctuary. And without the service, the puja would have very little meaning. Just like offering worship to the spiritual master has very little meaning unless we are serving the spiritual master.
就是正如我们如果不去服务灵性导师，只是简单形式上去崇拜他的话呢，其实没有多大意义。正如这一样，所以呢，就是我们的这个铺架呢，就是如果我们没有就是说很好的去照顾到这些母牛公牛的话呢，这个铺架也没有多大意义。那么正是由于大家的这个捐助，才让我们的这个铺架得以顺利的进行，同时让我们可以更好的去照顾到这些母牛公牛。
So your donation benefited yourself, our cows and bulls, and actually contributed to the purification of the whole world, which is very much needed at this difficult time. Thank you very much.
所以呢，你们大家的捐赠呢，不光是让你们自己受益，同时呢，你们也很好的照顾到了这些母牛公牛，让他们得以受益。同时呢，甚至净化了整个世界，尤其是在这个艰难的危机的时刻。
My obeisances to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu. Thank you, Yamuna Priya and Neera Kishori.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to do some service. Without your arrangement, we don't have an opportunity to donate.
Yes.
And we are serving together, even though so many
Yeah.
miles are separating us.
Yeah. 我们应该一起团结一心的去服务，因为妈呀，如果我们分开的话，妈呀有这么多的这种障碍，想要我们就是阻碍我们的这个服务。
Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and we will leave this Sangha now. Thank you, Bhaktisiddhanta.
Yeah,
Hare
thank
Krishna.
you so much, Prabhu. Very, very enlightening stories. Yeah.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Obeisances.
Haribo. Glory to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you so much. We feel so much inspired by your story and your life experience.